Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first edition of the AlpaCafé in 2025. I hope you all had a good start into the new year. And we want to again share a few updates on Alpaca, bring you up to date. And the topics today that we have are again some news on recent issues. We have an updated view of the changelogs that we want to share with you. We have a new home in the Alpaca VS Code extension. We're also gonna demo that one and share with you a few enhancements on the auto start and auto stop and show a few new settings we have. Again, this meeting is about exchanging with you, learning from you, also getting some insights to improve Alpaca from you. So always make sure to attend, and if you can't attend, you can always watch the recordings afterwards on YouTube as well. I shared the playlist before, and I can also share it again later on. Also make sure to spread the link to the AlpaCafé with your colleagues. And if you want to know which topics are relevant for which area, you can always just have a look at those icons here to see where a feature is available, basically, and what extension it's relevant for. If you have any questions during the presentation here, you can always use the Q&A tab. Ask your question there. I will have a look on it and try to answer that. So let's start with the recent issues and fixes. We mentioned a few months ago that there have been some performance issues with VC24 and above. We now finally got feedback from Microsoft, and they told us that they found the issue and that they are currently working on a fix for the next update for VC26. They unfortunately also told us that they won't backport the fix to the previous VC versions. But for you, that means that starting with VC26, with some of the next updates, you will receive a better performance again. Up from that, I want to switch to Philip.
Yes, thank you. Hello, everyone. I want to talk about our new point where you can find our changelogs. And while currently bringing the features from the old VS Code extension to the new VS Code extension, we also plan to update and further improve our documentation. And one part of this are the changelogs. So we revised and updated our what's next and what's new pages in the documentation, where you can find things we currently working on or maybe working on in the future and what's planned there. And also on the what's new page, you can find the changelogs for all our services. The changelogs and also the what's next page are specifically designed and targeted for interested users. And we are structured then by frontend and backend as well as the individual components. So, and we will try to keep both regularly updated with the current things happening. So the main goal for the changelogs would be to make them or to keep them human readable and easy to understand so that interested users can dig into them and find out what's happening in the background besides the things we are presenting here in the meeting. Next slide. That's just a view on the changelogs. As mentioned, they are grouped by frontend and backend and the individual services located there. And you can then use the link to direct you directly to the changelogs themselves. They are then grouped by each version we deliver. In the brackets, you can find the release date when this version was made available. And you can also jump to previous versions and look what happened there. And speaking of changelogs, I want to come over to the new Alpaca Home in VS Code. We've integrated a new home page, so-called, in the new VS Code extension, and want to establish a place there where we can provide specific and current information regarding Alpaca itself as a product and also as a service. So if we have frequent information which are relevant, we may present them here or even in the Alpaca homepage. And currently, one of the features we also added there are the changelogs I just mentioned. And in this case, the specific ones for the VS Code extension. And we also integrated the statuses and health information of Alpaca itself and also the related services on which we depend. You can open the Alpaca homepage either by choosing the three dots, and next to the open documentation, you can hit Open Alpaca Home, or at the bottom, in the status bar, we have a button for Cosmo Alpaca. This one also replaces the status bar items for the tenant on the Azure DevOps side and the username. So we wanted to free up a bit of space. Some of you may even have hidden this feature of the status bar items as the information was not that crucial. I want to jump into a short live demo showing you how the Alpaca Home looks. So what we have in VS Code is, as mentioned, the three dots on the main window, where you can jump directly into Alpaca Home. You can click on the button, or you can also search by the F1 hotkey on the command palette by Alpaca Home. That was already the first one. So what we here have is a basic welcome message. Content we might extend in the future. For now, it's just basic information and a link to the direct link to the documentation. And here where you can also find embedded the changelog I just mentioned, which is passed from the Cosmo Docs page. And on the second tab, you can find the status and health information. We grouped them for Cosmo Alpaca related GitHub, Azure DevOps, and Azure. So you jump right into each of these components. So for Cosmo Alpaca example, we currently have what Marcus mentioned, the performance issues on PC24 and onwards. And also here the feedback we got from Microsoft, Marcus talked about. The same for the publishing app, which may hang starting with PC24, we mentioned in an earlier version of the AlpaCafé. And the same goes for the GitHub. So we redirect here to the GitHub status page. And as you can see, here's currently an incident happening on GitHub. So this one might influence your actions or workflows running. So if you see any issues, you can directly jump into the status pages here and see if something maybe is already reported or known. Yes, and the same thing for Azure DevOps. That's basically the Azure DevOps service page in a more simplified way. And the same thing for Azure, again, the status page from there. You can always hit the reload button on each of these tabs to refetch the information, and you can always use a direct link to open the health pages individually. Same for Cosmo Alpaca, which is located in Cosmo Docs as well. And a niche feature I want to also mention, when installing an update of or a new version is released and you're installing the update of the new extension, the Cosmo Alpaca Home will automatically open at launch, showing you the changelog, so you can immediately see what was deployed with the new version.
Thanks.
And
I think you can continue with the enhancements.
Yes. Another one is the enhancement on auto start and stop. Can you go to the next slide? Oh, no. So just to recap the feature for those who already knew it and for those who maybe not know it yet. So to save resources and costs, containers should be shut down when not in use. that's in your favor and also in our favor. And therefore, we enabled AutoStop by default for every container. If you want to configure the AutoStart and AutoStop times and modes, you can configure the AutoStop and AutoStop times to your personal working schedule just by setting the appropriate configuration properties in the VS Code settings. So there you can configure the times, which are based on your local time zone. So when a container should be start, if you set it to automatically start, and the stop time. Here you can find also a list on the available start and stop modes. So deactivated auto start is the default, and daily auto stop is also the default. But you can also, if that fits your work schedule, change that to daily starts and maybe no stop, but that will increase the consumed resources and also the costs for sure. And what we now enhanced here, next slide. So we used and improved the documentation at first. This is added the settings and action description in VS Code. So you have a better can have a better understanding how these settings work and what happens if you apply them. An important notice which was not previously in the documentation or in the descriptions is that changing auto start and stop mode for a running container will restart it. So changing the modes on a running container, you should keep that in consideration. Additionally, we enhanced the status checks which happen after these induced container restarts. So previously there were a few issues, or the restarting container got not updated its status, and we improved it to make that visible to the user immediately that the container is restarting. And as a bonus, I want to mention two scenarios for which you can use the settings as well. So you can also configure auto stop and stop mode for a single container by right-clicking the container and choosing the actions set auto stop and stop mode. And the times are automatically set as you're configured in your settings. So if you want to set the mode for a single container different than the default ones you configured, or even the default ones we configured for you, you can use these options. And the second scenario, if you only want to change the auto stop and stop times for a container, you can achieve that by maybe temporarily changing the settings in the times configured in your settings, and then choose the just mentioned actions on the container to set the modes. But there you have to set the mode to the currently already configured one, so only the times will be updated for this container. You can also find now all these configuration options described on the Cosmo Docs page for auto start and stop.
Thank you. Oops.
And with that, I hand back to Marcus.
Yes, thanks. For the end, I want to share two new settings with you, two smaller settings. We now have a setting in both the new and the old extension to show the container IDs. This is especially helpful if you have some kind of URL laying around, or some kind of favorite marked in your browser, and you want to trace back which container is behind that link, basically. And yeah, for that you can use that option to show the container IDs behind the name to quickly find out which container is behind the URL. The second setting we now introduced is the PAT lifetime. So within the settings, you can manage the lifetime of the PATs that are automatically generated when you enable the automate PAT settings. So that usually creates a PAT for your containers to then download the artifacts from the Azure DevOps artifacts during the startup of your containers. And yeah, if you want to change that, you can do that in the settings here as well. And apart from that, we are wishing you a nice rest of the day and seeing you next time, hopefully.